Hello, welcome back to Collected Stories. We're doing our monthly recap for the month of July. This is Kira,
This is Dawn.
and we're going to share what we read for the month of July.
And the beginning of August for me.
Yeah, because the month of August is important too.
Yes.
All right. Do you want to start off?
Okay. I read this very small book. Actually, I listened to it. A very small book called Foster by Claire Keegan. It's the second book I've read by her. Such an excellent writer. Excellent author. She really knows how to use her words to give an overall feeling. I mean, this felt like a novel. And it was so well written. I give that like 4.5, maybe
What was the
5.
name of the book?
Foster by Claire
Foster.
Keegan. So that was one of my books.
Yeah. What genre was it?
It was set in Ireland in past, so I guess historical fiction, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. So is it technically a novella since it's shorter, or is it just a short book?
It's probably a novella.
Okay.
And they probably have a few of her stories in some book somewhere, but I found it in the library. This was one that Jack Edwards had.
Love Jack Edwards.
Yeah, I do too. And he had recommended it. He loved it. And Anna Wallace Johnson also has recommended it. And between the two, it was just, I had to read it.
It's a no-brainer.
Yep.
I love reading from fellow booktubers and getting their good recommendations. I always feel like it's like a trusted, safe space to get a good, nice recommendation.
Yes.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. And it depends, because like some booktubers I do watch and I really enjoy, but they're listening or they're reading books that I necessarily probably will never read. It's just not my genre, but I just like listening to them, and they're funny and they're entertaining, or they have really good viewpoints that help me with my reading and just in general.
I, funnily enough, read a novella for my first book as well. I read the sequel. I read the sequel to A Song for the Wild Bill. So the second novella is A Prayer for the Crown Shy. I absolutely loved it. I think if you are looking for a book that balances coziness and like beautiful like visuals and like beautiful like vibes with depth and wise knowledge of life, it's a perfect combination. I think cozy sometimes gets underrated or underwritten as not having the same emotional depth or intellectual depth as some longer books that don't have the same cozy elements. But this one really does have some beautiful lessons to life, and I always enjoy being reminded of them. So I really enjoyed the read.
How does it compare to the first one?
I still really liked it. I was very curious how Becky was going to follow it up.
Yeah.
I really thought that there was a lot of ways it could have dropped the ball, but I was surprised. I liked it. I thought it was a great follow-up. I love the relationship. There were so many actual laugh out loud moments, which are really hard to generate from reading a book in bed at the end of a long day when I'm exhausted. The fact that I actually laughed out loud multiple times in the book just says a lot on its own. And yeah, I really liked it.
Sounds good. I can't wait to read that one.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. My next one is a throwback book. It's called Flowers for Algernon. It was written in the 60s.
Okay.
It wasn't a very long book. I think it's longer than a novella. And it's kind of sci-fi-ish. It has to do with a man that is intellectually special. He has I think an IQ of like 68, and the scientists have been testing this surgery. I believe it's a surgery on mice. The mouse is named Algernon, and they have been able to increase the mouse's Can you hear Jaxie whining?
No, I can't actually, so.
No, okay. They increase the mouse's intelligence through this surgery and stuff. And so then they do this to this man, and it tells about how things changed for him, and interesting look at friendships and how people view things differently from different viewpoints. I know that just sounds so, I mean, obvious, but I thought it was really well done. And there's some wording that can be offensive in there, but I think generally the story held up really well, otherwise, time-wise.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's any book from over like 2 decades ago.
Yeah,
I feel like you have to take everything from a grain of salt from the time period it was written in.
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
My next book was Yellow Face, by R.F. Kuang. I was so interested to read this book because I had read Babel, I had read the first installment to the Poppy War series, and I really do enjoy her writing. I thought it, especially the literary buzz around this book being about the literary world, was going to be very interesting, like a very, I don't know, I thought it was going to be filled with like all these inside secrets, and at some points it definitely was, and it's very eye-opening to the literary world without necessarily meaning it to be, because it's just about a character trying to navigate that world, or many characters trying to navigate that world. I thought some of the criticism about it being like so unlike her other books was so unfounded and annoying, because people would say the same criticism if she did the same exact books as like she did before, the heavily researched historical fantasy kind of elements. I think that it was really brave of her to step outside of her comfort zone and try a new book. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see a problem with writers changing genres and writing from different aspects. I mean, we all have different aspects to our personality and different thoughts and different just like parts of our being, and it's fun to explore and see
Yeah.
what else we can do.
It really felt like criticism for the sake of criticism.
Yeah.
Which is just so annoying. Like, so I went through some of the good reviews after, and I was like, they would just say that if it was the opposite, or like they would just say the opposite criticism if it was the opposite, and
Yeah, you just gotta ignore those.
I think for her first venture into literary fiction, it was a very fast read. You just read it immediately. I thought there was so much. I think it was one of those books, knowing everything that I know about the author, which isn't like a lot, but just enough. Everything I know about the author, I feel like this book was very therapeutic and insightful to write for herself, because it's about an up and coming young author, a diverse writer in the literary world, being treated and being kind of pushed into the spotlight for various reasons. But I felt like it was very therapeutic and insightful for her to write this, and it was interesting to know what was going on behind the scenes a little bit, and know that as a reader as well, and taking that as an extra layer to the book.
Oh, neat. Sounds very interesting. I've been on the fence because I haven't really read the reviews, but I've heard like, and then I've heard great and great, and that's about it. And so I was like, but now I want to read it.
Well, I think if you're expecting another Babel, this is not
No.
going to be it. And I think
Yeah.
that's why people are having unfounded expectations and disappointed over their own expectations that they created. And funny enough, the commentary about the literary world and marketing is in the book.
I
So
might like this a lot.
the Goodreads people who are angry are playing right into a lot of big points in the book. So whatever, people are chronically online sometimes, and I know it's ironic saying that on a video that's going to be online, but there's a beautiful balance between having your own opinion and taking things as they are. And it was a good, nice literary book that was 300 pages. It had nice commentary on some dynamics maybe didn't go as deep as people thought it was going to be, but I don't think that was really ever the intention of the book.
Sounds good. Another one I'd like to put on my TBR. The next book I read was Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. It's one of those genres, like Ruth Ware, and I can't remember the other author who does that. I will put it in the caption when I think of it. But I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, except the ending.
Well, that's disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fine ending. It was. It was me. It was not her. I feel like I'm breaking up with her. This is my first book by her.
At least you can admit that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was me. It's been done before in another medium, and I don't know if it was because I felt like it was a cop-out or what. I guess I'm undecided as to what I really think about the ending. So, I gave it probably a 3-star. I probably would have given a 3.5 to 4-star. It's not high literature or anything like that, but it's just fun. It was just a good mystery, trying to figure out what's going on. So that's where I leave that one.
Yes. And Yellowface is a little bit like a mystery, a little bit in some parts. So another little element of the book that I think you would like. My next book was an anthology of essays called Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton.
Ooh.
I absolutely loved this. And I know I keep saying that, I feel like, but it is about being a young woman. She writes essays from everything about, being little and going through middle school, through high school, through college, through your 20s, through turning 30, and everything that she has learned about her strong girl friendships and about dating and about balancing life and feeling like you have no idea what you're doing. And I think it was very comforting and validating to have almost like feel like someone's like reading your thoughts at certain parts. And then some of it was just totally chaotic and hilarious, but to the point where, again, you could laugh at the writer. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's one of those books where I felt like a lot of the references were niche. So if people don't enjoy it or aren't getting it, maybe, just certain parts just didn't relate to like girlhood and growing up in a certain time period and social media and what the dating scene is like in relatively these parts. But I really enjoyed it for that reason of connecting to certain aspects of that reality.
Oh, sounds interesting.